City of Asgard lived the gods and goddesses of the Scandinavian countries. Included among these were Loki, the known trickster of the gods and goddesses. And Loki loved to brag. One day he was in the chamber of the gods and goddesses, and he decided that he needed to brag about how the gifts he had brought to them from the dwarves were the best gifts that could ever be made by the dwarves, and that no dwarf could ever do a better job. Now it just so happened that a dwarf named Brock was hiding underneath Odin's, the head of the gods, chair at the time, and he comes out and insists that Loki is wrong, and that he and his brother, Shrapnir, can do a better job than anything that Loki has ever brought the gods. So they make a deal, and they agree that if Brock speaks the truth, and the other gods and goddesses will be the people who will make this decision, then he gets to take Loki's head, and if Loki turns out to be right, and Brock's brother and he cannot do a better job, then Loki gets to take his head. So off Brock goes down to the dwarven homes, and he finds his brother, and he explains the deal that he's made, and his brother says, no problem, we can do this. Your job is to work the bellows all the time in such a way that they will never go too big or too small, and it will be perfect. So the first thing that the brother does is he throws in a pigskin, and he says the magic words, and he works the fire, and Brock the whole time is pumping away at the flames, making sure that they stay perfectly even. Now, Loki was not about to let this contest go without trying to do something about it. He's not a trickster for nothing. So he appears to Brock in the form of a gadfly, and he lands on him, and he bites his hands, and he makes his hands sting and sting, but Brock refuses to stop and to let the fire go up or go down too much. And all of a sudden, the brother says, we are done. And he pulls the thing out of the fire, and it turns out it is a giant golden boar called Golden Bristle, who can fly through the air and perform all sorts of marvelous feats. So Brock says, we have won. This is so much better than anything Loki's ever given them. We can go back up, and the people of Asgard will rule in our favor. And the brother says, no, these might be as good, but they're not better, and we need to do better. So he says, continue doing your job, I'm going to throw in a piece of gold. So he throws in a big piece of gold, and they work, and again, Loki appears as the gadfly. This time, he gets right between Brock's shoulder blades, and he bites him, and he bites him, and he bites him. Brock is in so much pain, but he refuses to give in. And so, finally, the brother says the magic spells, and does the whole thing that he needs to do as a master forger, and out comes a giant golden ring. And they decide that they're going to give this ring to Odin, because the special power of this ring is that on the 9th night, it reproduces itself 8 times. It is called Draupnir. And this is an amazing thing indeed. And Brock is shocked and awed, and just thinks that they need to run right up to Asgard. But the brother says, no. This might surpass it, but I can do even better. We're going to try one more time. So Brock says, okay, I will continue to man the fire. So they throw in a giant big bar of iron. And this time, again, Loki comes as a gadfly. But this time he lands right on the bridge of poor Brock's nose and stings him so badly that Brock's eyes swell up and he can't see a thing. He doesn't know if the fire's too big or too small. He has no idea. And the brother has left. He has set his magic spells, and he's left it to do its work. And as he'd done the previous 2 times. So he had never seen the gadfly. He didn't know about these problems that Brock was having. So the brother comes back, and he realizes that the fire's out of control, and so he pulls it out quicker than he would have. And he asks Brock, what were you thinking? And so Brock explains the whole thing, and he goes, well, that's okay. This is going to turn out awesome. And what he created was Molinar, which they decided to give to Thor. And Molinar is a giant hammer that when thrown and used, and can only be wielded by Thor because Thor is so big and strong, that it comes back to the owner. And so it's practically impossible to lose it, and it is amazing. So now Brock's like, we have done it, right? And his brother says, yes, we have. We have completed this. This is amazing. No way that they won't say in favor enough. So back up to Asgard they go. Loki's there pretending he hasn't been, the gadfly the whole time, biting Brock and trying to screw them up. So they show off their things and they hand out their presents. They show off Golden Bristle and Draupnir and Mjolnir. And they give Draupnir to Odin and Mjolnir to Thor. And the people of Asgard are just amazed at the quality of these three things. And so they do actually come down in favor of Brock. So Brock goes over to Loki and says, I'm going to take your head now. And Loki says, aha, you may take my head, but you may not touch my neck. So Brock's furious because he knows that the gods will never let him touch Loki's neck because that was not part of the bargain. So he can't take it. But he still has jurisdiction over any part of Loki's head. So what he finally decides to do after stomping and raging and being all angry and red in the face is he sews Loki's lips shut. And this is actually a pretty proper and fitting punishment for Loki because he was always bragging, and this was a way to stop his bragging. And the other gods and goddesses said that that was fair because he had only touched Loki's head. And thus Loki, for a long time, had to go around with his head bowed. But in the end, as was Loki's way, he might have just gotten the gods back. But that's a story for another time.